Hello everyone, my name is Notepad and Anon and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be working on Eagles and Rifles. And what happened last time? Well, last time I lost my goddamn mind trying to fix things that needed fixing. So we had a pretty big overhaul of this section. Everything remains the same. It was just a lot of formalizing and a lot of making sure that those individual points make sense. Which was a lot harder said, easier said than done. So one of the big ideas is training got changed to pips and powder, and I just formalized the term of pips. Everything is pips. FID units, fire morale, and shock distributed among their pips. Everything is pips, 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 pips. And then we have the Blood and Men section. This stayed relatively the same. I did kind of formalize what the hell these were. Technically, Fusilier is not light infantry by sheer technicality. They're more like normal line infantry, another name for normal line infantry, but I kind of changed the definition of it to make sure that it worked a little bit better, as well as the concept of chasers just being light cav. Why I needed light cav to do that way? Well, because if I didn't, it wasn't going to work correctly, and there's like 17 different fucking names for the same thing. Thanks, Austria. But all these have formalized names now. And I also kind of go over, I kind of took out the section about what the functions are. Added that as a side note, and I also added what the standard kit looks like. These things aren't light. There's like 60, 80 pounds worth of supplies. It's not as heavy as now, but it was also a lot shittier. Ooh, a lot shittier back then. Qualities of a good soldier. Maneuver and stamina got put into its own thing. They're their own section now. He kind of goes over like maneuver and what stamina does. Maneuver is your movement. Stamina is your stamina. Pretty much like you can expend that to do things faster. Pretty simple to understand. One of the big things is everyone got a little bit more stamina, just one additional stamina across the board, just to make sure that they can actually move around a little bit easier. Fusiliers and light infantry are still kind of at the worst. Grenadiers got a little bit more, but the idea behind Grenadiers is that they're big, tough, and scary, and they're supposed to be actually kind of being used as more offensively because they're Grenadiers. And Drill got changed the cohesion, and pretty much it was just, while everything else remains the same, the idea is cohesion is pretty much how cohesive your unit is. Are they completely independent? Are they green, hardened, steeled, or unbreakable? Depending on hand, that kind of gives you an idea of where they are, relatively speaking. So, if they're hardened, they're 60, 30, 15, 0. It's 80, 40, 20. Pretty simple stuff. Like, once you hit kind of the broken stage, a lot of the time it's already kind of over, kind of thing. That's why the differences aren't that massive as go from 20 to 10 to 5. But by that point, like unbreakable people, you're going to be at about like quarter of your number by the time you hit that. Like by just straight fighting. Like you have broken them before they have broken you. So what is the plan for today? What's the goalerino? Well, today we're going to get this done. I want combat done today. That is the goal. And it's going to happen, whether I like it or not. I did do that last time, but it just got sidetracked. The original goal was to actually have the stream earlier. However, my internet decided to kill itself for some reason. It's been doing that recently. I think it's just because people have been using it or someone is stealing my internet. Who knows? That's half the fun of my life. God help. But, stop. So. That's the goal today, and that is what we're going to be doing. So, as always, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. And away we go. Did I not add an image here? Could have swore I did. Why are you like this? What the? God's name decided that would be Google Docs. Also, Google Docs had an update sometime, and now I can put things like behind text or just delete it out of existence. I feel like I can put that behind text. You may be wondering why. Because Google is insane and has no sense of right or wrong. Let's see. Also, this is from the Paraguayan War. That's the Paraguayans. Paraguayans charging the Buenos Aires. All right. Blood, smoke, and death. Combat. Okay. This is the system we're going to be using pretty much. Unit rolls are fire plus shock plus commander's fire and shock. Number of d6s. Each success inflicts a casualty on the opposing side. This is pretty simple. Like, this is not a complex system. However, the issue that comes with it is all the things that go around this system. That's where things get complicated. Like, all the modifiers, even to like a basic attack, is going to have to be kind of explored. So, combat. What is hell? So I'm going to blow this up a little bit so it's easier to read. War is hell. Shoulder, shoulder. Faith in the other. Combat during the age of linear warfare. It's a two-sided affair. Bodies. It's a two-sided affair of bodies and hope. Even steel men can rat out disaster. And the most poorly trained can emerge victorious. Because again, you stand in the line and you shoot the enemy. It's not a complicated affair. It's all about morale. All about keeping your guys in line and their guys panicked. All combat in eagles and rifles. Conducted during these battles between battalions. For supremacy. Supremacy on the battlefield. All combat eagle drives conducted on the is conducted during the battles. A trial of endurance and a trial of faith, victory. Okay. A little bit dramatic, but we need to get across that the idea that, like, hey, linear warfare isn't fun. Like, linear warfare isn't like, oh boy, everyone's super excited to go out and stand in the line and die. No, linear warfare sucks. Right, so we want to do... How do we want to do this? How do we want to structure this? Because... Okay, so let's structure it around the idea of maybe something like orders, which is pretty much going to be actions. Actually, let's do guys, how do I want to do this? Because everything I need. Let's just go over everything I need. Pretty much I need orders, which is actions. We need morale and bodily damage. And actually morale and fortitude damage. We need combat modifiers. There's going to be a lot of fucking modifiers. So we can probably do anatomy of an attack, which is going to be important. Then we're also going to need the battlefield. How we organize what the battlefield is looking like and how we're going to handle that. Let's see. Modifiers and multipliers. Okay. So let's break it down into the idea of perhaps we'll do anatomy of an attack. You know, like what is two guys standing at each other, firing at one another? What does that do? We'll do, yeah, the anatomy of an attack. We will then move into orders, which are your actions. Because we need to understand the context of it. Fuck, we need to put in formations. Actually, we can put formations here. The various formations are basic orders, which is going to be things like attacking and such. Actually, no, morale and fortitude has to go up. Actually, we want to do fortitude and cohesion damage. Orders, then we move into battlefield. Then we move into the battlefield. Combat modifiers. Then we do combat modifiers and multipliers. Because we have the idea of bonuses and such, and like things that can help you in the fight, and then yeah, okay. So this is how we're gonna have to format it. Not the prettiest, but it should work. So, all right. Anatomy of warfare. I'm actually going to paste this all down here just so I have it as a quick reference. So, during the battle, when two opposing units come into range of one another, they option of beginning to they have the option of engaging in combat with one another. A combat order is given by the commander toward a specific unit. Within line of sight of their own unit. Each unit has a specific distance. Because we want to do long range, medium range, short range, point blank. So yeah, we want to do if we put this up here. Depending on the weapon being used by the unit, the range will change. However, depending on the distance, they will have to roll in by their own unit. Balls come into range of one another. Fuck, how do I want to do this? Because it's there, I can see what I want to write, what I want to type in. Because effectively what I need to do is I need to explain, you roll a shit ton of d6s. Okay. So when the order is given, both sides will gather their d6s. D6s equal to their fire/shock pips and their commanders fire or shock. Fire or shock. Fire is used when engaging in ranged combat, and shock is used when engaging in melee combat. Depending on, we need to address initiative, don't we? How do we want to do initiative? Initiative. Okay. Let's ignore initiative for now. A command, when giving the order to fire or engage in melee. Unit rolls their d6s and counts the successes of they have scored. In range combat, each success is determined by the weapon's range. With each range band having a different value to hit. to hit and possibly score multiple hits. In melee combat, number hit is 3. 3, and number hit is 2. And every success, the number is hit is 2. Why? Because you're in melee combat is literally you just throwing yourself around, desperately trying to kill your enemy. Because guess what? You're trying to murder your enemy. What I end up referring to it as target number. Actually, range combat, each DC will be used to determine what is considered a success and how many successes are needed. In range combat, the DC is dependent on the range. Depending on the range. Melee combat, the DC is always 2. Why? Because you can score a lot of kills, because it's literally one guy going to fucking town on someone and stabbing a few people. The DC is always 2. Calculating successes. The number of the number of successes scored. The success scored by the unit is the number of casualties they caused to the enemy. And the number of successes scored by the unit is the number of casualties they have caused to the enemy. The opposing unit reduces their fortitude, and cohesion by the number dead. So let's see, damage multiplied by certain factors. Okay, so this is the basic idea. The opposing unit reduces the fortitude and cohesion by the number of dead. Units killed in melee double the amount of cohesion lost. That's literally it. So you're getting, why? Because having someone get shot by a stray bullet's kind of scary, but it's like, well, at least it's not me. Having someone get stabbed to death in front of you by a crazed Frenchman as he glares over at you with bloodlust in his eyes, a little bit more scary. Like, melee sucks. Fun fact, melee is not fun. People die when they get into melee combat because bayonets are not fun to deal with. Bayonets are the exact opposite of fun, one may say. Alright, so it's not pretty, but it'll work. The anatomy of warfare. So you need to explain what the hell how this actually works. Okay. So a unit roll more than 10d6. D6 per check. Any excess die they possess will instead be directly converted into a single success. Actually, into one success. for the check. So, pretty much if I have 11 dice, if I have one dice, I can only roll 10d6 of them, but I'm always going to have one success. That also counts for the purposes of the multiplier. If that gets applied, you score 3 successes. No, let's say of that 11d6, I roll my 10, I score 4 successes. I have 5 successes with a 3 times multiplier. I rolled 15. And you're not having a good time. I have ripped you a new asshole. Die. Let's see. You cannot roll 110d6 per second. The excess die they possess will still be directly converted one success for the check. And since we have the anatomy of warfare done, actually, we'll actually put this in here. Ranged combat. DC. Dice check. Dice check value. Long shot. 4 up. So long shot, medium shot, point blank. Okay, so next we're going to move on to so we already have this. Okay, so we need to do, oh, I can click all the wrong buttons is what I can do. Okay, so we don't really need you anymore. So we need Fortitude and Cohesion, damn. So, dying and breaking. As the unit takes damage, begin to incur Fortitude and Cohesion loss. Outside of losing men, courage, the loss. Outside of the loss of life being a tragedy. The loss of men means that the survivors begin to waver, and there are less guns being pointed at the enemy. As discussed above in the cohesion section. Yeah, as discussed above in the as discussed in the cohesion section, units, capital, comma, units. Cohesion loss will begin to suffer consequences, having them break faster and rout. Should a unit begin to break, they will make an emergency retreat. Actually, they will make an emergency retreat, trying to make an organized retreat backwards, actually away from the fights. Let's see, they'll make an emergency retreat, trying to make an organized get away from the front. Well, if they are completely broken, completely shattered, they will simply throw down their arms, and run for their lives. One of the key ideas behind combat in eagles and rifles is the idea of stacking multipliers. Actually, no, we don't want. I'm going to remove this section right here. One of the key ideas behind combat in eagles and rifles is the idea of stacking multipliers. As things gradually get worse, the multipliers of their destruction of the unit's downfall increases as well. Every time a double or triple damage appears, that adds to existing modifiers. That adds to existing modifiers by a step. So, for example, if a unit has reached the broken state of cohesion, they are taking double damage. They're taking double fortitude damage and triple cohesion damage. If they were also getting fired upon, if they were also getting fired upon from their flanks, as well as the enemy fighting in a long formation. If fighting from their flanks as well as being outnumbered, they may be taking quadruple fortitude damage. And what would be six times word? Quintuple? Taking and sextuple cohesion damage. Yeah, you can be taking 6 times cohesion damage. Now, the idea behind this, dear viewers, is very simply to make those little numbers mean a lot more. If I take 3 damage right now, it doesn't mean a lot. However, I take 3 damage when I'm taking quadruple, suddenly that's 12 fortitude damage. That sucks. Like, alright, I can deal with that. But also, if we also take the idea of taking 4 damage, doesn't mean a lot. Actually, taking 3 damage doesn't mean a lot. But I'm taking 6 times the amount of damage. Well, let's remember what 3 times 6 is. That's 18. Yeah, we're taking 18 cohesion damage. And if we look here, oh wow, 18 cohesion damage can pretty much bring an independent unit to completely shattered immediately. It completely destroys even a green unit. It, like, reduces it by half if they're even at full. Like, that's kind of the idea. Is it's like when things start going wrong in eagles and rifles, things have gone drastically wrong. Like, things have gone very wrong. Let's see. Men can be replaced. Even like it's things go wrong. That's kind of the idea. Is like little numbers may not seem like a lot right now, but you're not really supposed to like wipe out a unit. That's not the point. The point is to break them, to make them run so they're not part of the fight anymore, that they're completely shattered, that they're completely broken, that they are no longer a threat to you because they are running for their goddamn lives. Which is, ta-da, kind of like what the point is of linear warfare. This also means in like straight pitched battles, it could take a while to actually kill an enemy. Like if you guys are exactly the same, it's going to take a while to actually kill them, but that's the point. And but that's why you have other things, such as artillery. Use artillery. Let's see. Actually, so let's actually, I'm going to add a insert footnote here. So, effectively speaking, this adds a modifier on top of the existing multipliers. Double adds 1 step, triple adds 2 steps, and quadruple adds 3 steps. So if I am taking double fortitude damage, and then take another double fortitude 2 damage, I am taking triple fortitude now. Actually, what I should do is add in a similar thing to like here. Like, what are the multiplier like full? So let's see, damage multiplier steps. Actually, what we can do, we want to bring this here. So we use damage multiplier steps. So we need to do single. Yeah, we'll do single. Actually, what we need to do is name multiplier name. Steps. Yeah, we want to do steps. So we want to do singles. Singles would be 0 steps. Double, triple, quadruple. You never usually use anything beyond triple. Because I am incredibly goddamn lazy. Quadruple, quintuple, tuple, septuple, octuple. We're using the correct one would be 9 would be Novem. Novuple? 9 times value. It would be 9 times value. India. Value name. No, I don't need, like, what? 9 times value. Tuple? Because if it's octuple, and then it would be tuple, because it would be novum. Yeah, it'd be novum tuple. No, like, technically that would be the correct phrase for it. That would be the correct phrase for it, but that sounds completely stupid. If it goes to octuple, then be... Yeah, because that's what would... Double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, septi... What is... Yeah, septuple. The nona tuple? I guess it would be nona tuple. Nona tuple. Yeah, nona. No. Nona tuple. Yeah, this is welcome to the wonderful world of nona tuple. Nona tuplets. Yeah, even it's like, the fuck are you even trying to say? Billion, million, jillion. Hmm. I'm gonna bug my friend. Actually, we want to do... multiplier. Times 2, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 9 times. Let me bother my math friend here real fast. Oh, my friend. Yes, it's technically, can you get like 9 times damage? Yeah, or like 2 damage can just that's completely eradicate a unit. Yeah, otherwise known as get flanked, bitch. Hopefully my boy can answer that. He's good with that, but he has a bad tendency of disappearing. So we will go with that, and we'll just call this 10 times, and we'll just 10 times 10x with 9 steps. If you hit this point, it's gone wiggity whack. So just have a note there, mate. Actually, no, I don't want aerial. I want railway. Railway 12. Unlinked. Select all of you. We want to merge the cells. Actually, no, we don't. We want table alignment left. Max multiplier to 10 times. Which any excess is simply ignored. The units will be getting annihilated soon. Okay, so we've got this. We've got our annihilation. So now we're going to deal with fortitude, with formations. What do you want to do for orders first? Actually, we already kind of dealt with some combat modifiers, multipliers. So maybe let's shift down formation here. Work on the orders next. Hello, phone. So first off, we need to calculate initiative. Let's see. We actually probably want to do initiative a little bit different. Okay. Actually, wait a second. I forgot something. Additional cohesion equal to the attacking units. And commanders. Morale value is also added. It is entirely okay to have a unit that doesn't actually do that much damage, but just shakes the shit out of them. Skirmishers, baby. Skirmishers. Shit saves lives. So, we want to do... Okay, so... Battle has begun. And it is... So, actually, we want to do orders. Orders in combat. During the heat of battle. The commanders of individual brigades and squadrons are given general orders by the general of the force, by the general of the army. While on the field, though, they are expected to keep their men alive and follow the plan. So, how do we want to... We can make it really simple. We can just say attacking and defending. Like an attacking force will always go first, then the defending. It does kind of favor aggressive play and like who's... Okay, yeah, no, that's good. Also gives defenders a little bit more chance to be a little bit more reactive to their active. The attacking army will always act first, In battles. Attacking army will always act first in battles. In order of the commander's morale. It would be the morale plus shock value. Actually, it would be morale plus... What would be the other... What would be a good one? Yeah, we'll actually do... Actually, I know what we can do. I know what we could do. We'll go on unit type. So in order of the units being deployed. Infantry. Line infantry. And grenadiers. Will act first. Actually, no, we want to do... Actually, would it be infantry acting first? Or actually, okay. Light infantry. Fusiliers. And Jaegers. And Jaegers. Fusiliers and Jaegers will act first in the descending, or actually... Actually, here's what we can do. So we can actually break it down in between. Light infantry is going to go first. Then we'll call it a bulk infantry. Bulk infantry. Finally cavalry. Then artillery. Those will be our acting, but it'll always be attacker, then defender, and then it'll probably go from fire plus morale. You can just add everything together. That could work. Of the current commander. Yeah, that would work. Because, again, everything's randomized, so that would work. Because everything's randomized, that does technically work. It's not flawless, but it does work. Okay, we'll go with that. I think that'll give a better idea of what we need to go across. Then follow the plan. Each order of combat... Each order of the battle, actually, phase of the battle is organized by the unit type. Actually, we can call it unit super type. Bulk and light infantry. Bulk infantry. Actually, we'll call it foot infantry, cavalry, and artillery. Light infantry, fusiliers, Jaegers will act first in the combat. We'll act first with the organized by the unit super type. Light infantry, foot infantry, cavalry, and artillery. Light infantry will act first. Able to position themselves. Need to be where they need to be and quick. Where they need to. Foot infantry. Foot infantry follows in their large bulk formations, serving as the main line of both defense and offense. Cavalry cavalry finally comes in at third, able to quickly redeploy themselves. themselves where they need to be and organize themselves properly. Final ones to act. Final force to act. Use the artillery. Able to rain down hellish amounts of fire. Fire on enemies who are within their long range. The order in each phase is determined by the commander, commander of the units. Commander of the units. Combined attributes. If two or more unit commanders have the same attributes, same value of attributes, they will act simultaneously. Alright. Now, if you notice, you can't actually play artillery regiments, and there's a reason for that. Because artillery would not be very fun. Unless someone were to bully me into adding them, I do not believe they would actually be terribly fun to actually play. Two or more unit commanders have the same value of attributes, they will act simultaneously. So what the hope here is that the first few turns of the game will be kind of light infantry moving to positions, start harassing the enemy. Foot infantry will begin moving up into position where they need to go. Both sides will kind of try to move into their ideal position, and that's when the fighting will really begin. All while cavalry is trying to outflank and outmaneuver one another. You know, people on the ground, your foot infantry, it's not like you can't do anything, because you're still independent operators. It's just kind of that idea of, like, I need to get into the ideal position to actually protect the cavalry and protect the light infantry, because they need it most. You guys get to have fun while I am the one actually doing all the work. And they will act simultaneously. So we want to do orders. When it is the commander's turn, they may issue an order to their unit, which they will carry out. And orders are effectively actions. In a traditional game, that would be like an action. Actually, no, this wouldn't be heading 1. This would be heading 2, and then you would need to be heading 3. They may issue an order, and that's what they will carry out. So we want to do attack enemy unit. Charge. Change formation. Let's see. Change formation. Move out. We actually probably want to do breather. Yeah, actually, we'll call it breather. I'm going to just pour myself another cup of coffee real fast. Give me one moment. You're wondering why I'm drinking coffee this late at night, and the answer is because I have no sense of right or wrong. Ugh. There we go. Fuck. Oh, God. Burn myself. Fuck. Alright. Let's keep going. Let's see. So, attacking enemy unit. We want to make a charge. We want to change formation. We want to move out. We want to breathe. Have a breather. Regenerate all our stamina. What else do we need? What else do we need? Actually, we can make a tactical withdrawal. What would be, actually... Black powder actions on turn. Black powder game. No, I just need the actions. That's all I need. This actually isn't it, but I make it work. We want to do command phase action 16. Actions move, deploy, change formation, mount or charge. Alright, that's an easy. Okay. What other parts do we need to worry about? We need to... Nothing. Alright. What we're going to do instead, we're also going to put in the reorganize action. Sort paragraph A to Z. Attack enemy unit. We'll do fire upon. Designated enemy unit within range. Cannot be used in melee. Yeah, we want to do cannot be used in melee. Yeah, fire upon. See, fire upon or continue the attack and continue the melee with a designated enemy unit within range. Otherwise known as you're being attacked by someone, target them, men target them, men target them. Or if you're in a fight with multiple units, it's try to kill these guys over these guys, or try to kill them over anything else. Breather. Order their soldiers to take a quick breath. Drink from canteens. And hype themselves up. Up for the battle. The upcoming fight. Restore 1d6 stamina. Actually, we're going to do 1d3 stamina, which is usually all of your stamina. Restore 1d3 stamina. Increase cohesion. Commander rolls morale. Increases morale with DC 3-1 with DC 3-1. rolls morale. So that would be morale, and where are you? Where are you? Morale social. Social DC 5. 1 increased cohesion for each success. Pretty much everyone take a breather. Let's drink, drink up, get ready, like we're going to get in the fight. However, all damage is doubled. All damage is doubled during this time because you're taking a breath, you're taking a moment to breathe until your next turn. Actually, it's doubled until next turn. You're taking a moment to kind of think and you breathe. If you were to get fired upon, everyone's going scrambling, everyone's taking damage. Things are going worse. All damage is doubled because you're not ready. You're not prepared to take a volley to the face. So, the commander orders their soldiers. Change formation. Spending stamina if need be. Spending stamina to do such. To change formation. Actually, what I should do is commander can always choose a commander can always choose to expend 1 stamina to form an order twice. To perform a second order, expend stamina to perform additional orders. Yeah, you know what? I think that's actually appropriate for breather. Kind of sprint into action, kind of take a breath. I'm like, okay, we're at a place where we need to be. Everyone just relax for a moment. Let's do 1d2 stamina. We don't want people getting too excited. Certain actions. So certain actions also take stamina to perform. Change for commander orders the unit to change formation. Charge. Commander orders to move forward, move up to their maneuver, and engage in melee combat with the enemy. Move out. The commander orders the unit to begin moving. Depending on the formation. Begin moving. The current maneuver is how far the unit can move successfully. For this order, reorganize. Attempts to rally his men. Rally his men. Commander rolls morale /social with DC3-1, increasing cohesion for each success. Each major to level 5 grants an additional plus 1d6. Tactical withdrawal. So the command, fallback order, moving half their units. So it'd be half their units. Maneuver away from the fight. Away from the battle. We want to actually put in something really nasty. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this. What we're going to do is call the holding orders surprise action. Actually, that's not supposed to be 2, that's supposed to be 1. That's supposed to be 3. Because we're going to be a little bit devious. The commander can choose their order at a belated time. To issue their order at a belated time, such as a delayed charge. Such as a delayed charge or waiting for a unit to close the distance. Fire. However, once these orders are locked in, they cannot be changed unless a stamina is expended. The second variety, these actions. Second variety, finally, a commander may also perform a surprise action, quickly organizing his troops. Quickly organizing the troops to perform an action. Troops to perform an action. Actually, what we should also do is change formation, so we can change firing. Change firing. Commander changes the firing habit of the unit. And we want to do ranked fire. Unit fires normally. Unit fires normally. Free volley fire. Actually, no, it'd be volley fire. Volley fire, free fire. Adds plus 2d6 to all fire checks, but increases to hit by plus 1. Actually increases the difficulty to hit by 1. And then we want to be volley fire, free fire. Fire in advance. Advances once. We'll do actually burst fire. Adds plus 2d6 to all fire checks. Pretty much the idea behind this one is like volley fires are traditional. I am firing in a line. Free fire is just start shooting people. I don't really give a shit. Just start firing. Just start shooting people. Just kill them. Just so you kind of lose that volley effect, which they're kind of taking aim as they feel fit. And the other one is pretty much like every single person in that unit fires at once, just like a giant volley of fire. But you have to also, it takes time to reload, because your entire unit's fucking reloading. Open fire, free fire. Not volley. We'll call it, we'll do it called grand fire. 2d6 to all fire checks. But cannot attack next turn. You know, because everyone's reloading. And if you can disrupt them... Yeah, they're just sitting there. The entire time, they're just sitting there unless you gotta pull them back or you gotta do something. Stamina. Pretty much the other two ideas here is that you can hold an order. You can say, all right, we're going to fire, but we're going to fire at the end of the infantry phase, of the foot infantry phase. Or, hey, we're going to take a breather at the end of the cavalry phase as our light infantry. We are going to do something and we're going to delay our action. So we can kind of see what the fight is. And maybe the idea is like, okay, we're going to hold our orders until the very end of the turn so we all move together as a single unit. Or, okay, we're going to, reorganize at the end of the battle, at the end of our turn, of our phase, just so we have a little bit more organization, or they didn't really plan on it. The idea of the surprise action, however, is the kind of gotcha moment. It's, all right, the cavalry's coming. Haha, surprise action. We're going to go into formation now and go into square. However, it costs 2. Now, this may seem like, oh, wait, we can do it. If they're going into 2, this is fine. Everything is okay. Well, not really. Because, say, for example, you are playing as a line infantry, 2 stamina, you're at 0 stamina. You're taking double cohesion damage until all attacks. And that's not good because you're now kind of taking a lot more damage than you would be needing to, and you're going to be engaged in melee combat, which is going to hurt more. You're in square, you're not taking as much damage from cavalry, however, you're also exhausted and taking double cohesion damage. However, things like the grenadiers can do shit like that because they're grenadiers. And they are able to quickly bulk up and say, like, all right, haha, we've caught out the cavalry, or we've caught them out. But being in square also sucks. So it's a back and forth with that. Like, you can do something, you can also not do that. And do you plan ahead or do you not plan ahead? That's kind of the key thing. Alright, so you've got all the orders in place. Now we need to do formations. Formations. So formations. So yeah. Linear warfare. Is defined by its formations. Being lions is defined by its formations. Keeping the army a cohesive whole is what separates barbarians from the victors. Breaking ranks or failing to follow orders can quickly lead to the collapse of an entire army in a split second. So we want to do formations would be 2 because formations are very important. So we want to break these up into light infantry formations. And we're going to, let's see what, so actually we want to do loose skirmish, tight skirmish, independent skirmishing, and then we want to do thin lines, and we want to do a thin line. However, you're not really supposed to be doing that. Do not do this. So, okay, loose independent skirmishing. So, loose skirmish. The unit itself out and gets various pieces of cover to harass the enemy. Each man can communicate to one another. So what are we going to do here? So we need to put this on Control-Shift-8. The idea behind loose skirmishing is that you are... Okay, we want to gain plus 2d6 to all fire checks, but deal half damage to fortitude and cohesion. So pretty much every other success is going to actually kill someone, but that's kind of the point. You want them to be harassed, and you're harassing. So you gain plus 2d6 to all your fire checks. Actually, no. Gain plus 2d6 to all fire checks. We'll deal triple damage. We'll do triple fortitude damage. So again, 2d6 on all fire checks. Cavalry will be gain plus 1 maneuver. So we're moving around a little bit easier. We want to do tight skirmish. The unit closely packed. They're in small sections of 2. 2 to 3. Harass the enemy. Gain plus 1d6 to all fire checks. Cavalry will deal double fortitude damage. What we can do is damage from rain attacks. Double fortitude damage from melee. Actually, how do I want to do this? Okay. Shock attacks will add 2d6 against the unit. Fire attacks will remove 2d6 against the unit. Actually, this was pretty significant. This is lose, so we want to do 3-3. Actually, we could probably do 4. With the idea being, like, if you get caught out, like, you're going to lose med if you get caught out. And, like, if you actually get into melee, you're going to start getting caught out. However, you're not supposed to get in combat. You're not supposed to get in the melee. You know, do triple fortitude damage. So this can get really bad really fast. Actually, triple fortitude and actually no. Gain +1 maneuver. So 1 to all fire checks. Then we want to do six against the fortitude damage. Gain +1 maneuver. Independent skirmishing. Gain free action. Actually, shock attacks. Okay, shock attacks and +2. That's +2 successes. Nice. Adds plus 46. 46 plus 2. 46 against the unit. And gains 2 free successes. The idea being you are literally so far apart that it's hard to actually... the unit is barely cohesive. Cohesive. As each member begins to fight the enemy on their own terms. So we want to do fire attacks. 4d6 against the unit. And loses 2 successes. Like, regardless of what you roll, you're going to lose 2 successes. Like, you just have -2 successes on top of everything. Because fuck you, that's why. And so, cavalry. Fortitude damage. Unit will take double cohesion damage. Why? Because you're independent. That's the issue. It's hard to keep as a cohesive whole. Actually, probably... You know, I think I'm going to remove this. Control Shift A. Let's move you back up here. Loose skirmish. Okay. That being the idea, you get additional maneuver basically because you're moving faster. So thin line. The idea is that you're effectively lining up in like a really thin formation to actually get. Actually, do I even want to give them this? Yes, because they're going to be actually attacking from further distance away. That's kind of the idea, is that they're going to be attacking at larger distances, so they kind of need that additional. They might only score a few successes, because if you're close with light infantry, they're going to get their shit rocked. And that's what you should do. If you see light infantry out in the open, charge your cavalry into them and they'll die. Triple fortitude damage. You know, triple, double fortitude damage. You know, 3d6 against the unit. Like, you're going to be doing some hefty casualties. So thin line, if I'm in a thin line, we'll call it base formation. Yeah, well, no, this is just going to be a base formation. Thin line will be about, okay. Assembles in a 3 deep line. Well, standard line. Assembles in a 3 deep line. And begins to march. And begins to march. Ready for combat. So, okay, then we want to do foot infantry formations. We want to have the standard line, thin line, bulky line. So standard line is going to be 3 deep. Thin line is going to be 2 deep. Bulky line is going to be 4 deep. And what else? Oh, yes, of course, square and column. Okay. Foot infantry. Infantry. Foot infantry. Control Shift 8. Thin line. The unit moves in a 2 deep line. Deep line, ready for combat. Gain plus 2d6. Actually, gain plus 1d6 to fire checks. Take double fortitude damage from cavalry. And the bulky line assembles in a 4 deep line. Ready for combat. Yay, -1, lose 1d6 to fire checks. Cavalry. So we can do successes of artillery by 2. Take half fortitude damage from cavalry. Actually, we'll do cavalry. Do I want to add dice or do I want to remove dice? Just want to double fortitude damage. Okay, actually, here's what we'll do. So cavalry gain. So take double fortitude damage from cavalry. From shock. Actually, we'll do from shock attacks. Take cavalry gains plus 2d6. Actually, gains plus 2d6 from shock attacks. Gains plus 2d6 to shock attacks against the unit. Gets the unit. Loses negative 2d6 to attack. To shock attacks against the unit. Is pretty much who are charging in there. Against a thin line, the idea is that you can kind of rip and tear them a little bit easier because they are, well, thin. It's 2 guys deep. It's not really like it's a very long, thin line. It's hard to support one another. Bulky lines, you're a little bit closer together. And you crash in from the side, and suddenly you're getting stabbed to death. And so actually we want to do increase actually artillery loses negative 2d6 to their fire against the unit. The idea being they're just harder to hit. Artillery gains plus 2d6 to fire attacks against the unit. Because they're a big bulky unit, able to be crashed in and die. This 1d6 take double damage from shock attack, 42 damage from shock attacks. Square. Assembles into a square formation. Adept at dealing with cavalry. Adept at dealing with cavalry. Lose 2d6 to fire checks because you're spread around. Cannot be flanked. Cavalry loses negative 4d6 to shock attacks against the unit. Artillery gains plus 2d6 to fire attacks against the unit. All fortitude damage. Fortitude damage is doubled. Remember, fortitude damage also directly correlates to cohesion. Cannot be flanked. Actually, enemy. All fire checks. Yeah, all fire checks gain a plus 1d6 to. All fire checks gain a plus 1d6 against the unit because they're in a fucking square column. Into a thin column. Marching across the battlefield. Six to fire checks. Actually, what I said. Cannot maneuver. Cannot maneuver. Cannot move from location. because you're not really moving as a square. And we'll actually do cost 1 stamina. I'll fire. And a plus 2d6 against the unit. All fortitude and cohesion damage is doubled. Let's see. We'll do +2 maneuver. So that would make you 3. We can actually probably give you +3 maneuver in this. And then we can do cavalry formations. Cavalry formations. Which we'll do tight ranks, loose ranks, wedge. Cavalry is close together. This is a single entity. Cavalry is further spread apart. It's further spread apart, easier to maneuver, but harder to keep everyone in line. The cavalry forms a dangerous wedge against with the intent of breaking through them. So tight ranks, if we want to do tight ranks, we want to get the idea of pretty much they're all together. Like they're tight. So we want to do something like you could probably call that sort of base formation, loose ranks. Enemy. Actually, we want to do this. Would be actually no. What we can do is we'll make this the base formation. Here will be take half damage from. Actually, reduce shock and fire. Reduce shock. Do shock enemy. How do I want to fucking do this? Fuck me. Your cavalry. The idea is that you're closely knit together and you're kind of moving as a unit. So we can probably do shock attacks. X will remove 2d6 against the unit. Fire attacks will gain plus 2d6 against the unit because you're really tight together. Artillery will deal double damage. Artillery will deal double damage. We'll do double fortitude and cohesion damage. Actually, artillery fire attacks gain plus 2d6 on top of everything else. So artillery is getting a shit ton of bonuses just to screw you. Actually, charge actions. Okay, actually, the charge order. The charge order increases the damage. Double adds plus 3d6. Again, adds plus 3d6. And 3d6 to the shock check. And we're actually going to give that. We're going to give them plus 1d6 on top of that. And we're going to give them maneuver plus 1. And we're going to give them the charge order. Adds plus 2d6. The shock check. To the first shock check. That should be everything. And how long have we been streaming? Jesus, we've been streaming for 2 hours. All right, I'm going to call it here for today. We got quite a bit done, actually. It doesn't look like a lot, but it does mean a lot for where we are. About 7 pages worth of stuff. And what I will probably do in the meantime is I will get done with the Battles in Progress system, which shouldn't be too difficult. And probably on Wednesday, we'll work on the equipment section and the campaign section. However, we are done with the hard part. This is the hard part right here. Dealing how this works relatively, I'm going to have to probably double check some things to make sure it does. So dealing how this works, we should be able to continue everything going forward pretty easy. This was the hump. Now that the hump is gone, we don't got to worry about it too much. All right, so thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad Anon, and this is Eagles and Rifles. Goodbye.